There is nothing more devastating than scratching or chipping the paint on your bike. When it happens, it can literally ruin your week. You can be ever so careful with your bike, treat it like a baby, but that's all it takes is a gust of wind, and there you have a lovely chip on your bike. But when this does happen, what can we do to fix it? Well, in this video, we're going to show you how the professionals fix it and how you can fix it at home. Hi Ali.
Hello.
Nice to see you. Nice to be back in the workshop.
Yeah, a little bit dirtier than last time.
Lots of bikes here.
There is lots of bikes.
We're here this time to learn about chips and scratches.
Okay.
I know nothing about how to fix chips and scratches, so what can you tell us?
Well, hopefully I can show you how it's done. We've got a couple of bikes here today I can show you examples on. This customer was unfortunate and dropped her bike.
That's quite deep.
It is deep.
Yeah.
This is down to the carbon. It's not through the carbon, so we don't have to do any work on the carbon, but we're going to put a tiny piece of filler in here, prep this area, and then go from there.
Sweet.
To start with, obviously, we want to keep the area that we prepare, you keep it to a minimum, but you do have to feather out the changes.
I'm surprised actually how far out you have to come when you know, it's just such a small little chip.
This is where some people misunderstand. When you quote for a chip, it's not a matter of dribbling in a little bit of paint. Guys can do that at home and you can get really good results. You know, hopefully we can show you that later. But when you do it professionally, obviously the customer expects not to be able to know it was there. And so there's a lot of stages. So first stage, where the chip is, I've already checked, there's no loose paint. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scratch inside this area so that the filler that we use can adhere to the chip. So there you go. Now we're ready for some filler. Nearly all fillers like this are two-part, and what the manufacturers will say is take a golf ball size of filler and a pea size of hardener. We're not going to use that much, so you kind of have to just guess really. Mix it thoroughly. And then take the littlest bit you can on the spatula, because you've got to sand this off and it can become quite a pain, and then literally just spread it in the chip. So initially I'm going to use a 320 grit piece of sandpaper. It's dry, it's for dry sanding, so you wouldn't wet this. And this will just take the excess filler off. Just do it really light, because again, you want to localize the repair as much as possible. So this is just to get any lumps off that are proud. Okay, so basically now we'll get it in the spray booth, get it masked up. I'll show you the weird masking materials that we use for this to give us a nice soft edge. And then we can get the priming done.
Perfect.
So it's really important that you mask the whole frame up, because you're focusing on this area, and I have had it before a long time ago, before you learn as you go along. You think to yourself, I'm only painting here, I don't need to worry about anything else, but we're focusing on this. You'll get this area perfect, but if you haven't masked off somewhere else, you can end up with a tiny bit of overspray falling down here or over here, and you won't see it because it's not been your focus of attention. Yeah. So we absolutely mask the whole frame off now whenever we do any repairs.
Okay, so you've masked the bike up, mixed the primer. What are we on to now? Right,
so we're going to put several coats of primer over the damaged area. It's in the airbrush ready to go. These masks aren't perfect masks for the paint materials we're using, but the volumes we're using are so low.
It's going to do the job.
Yeah, more than do the job. So if we mask up.
How many coats are we going to
give it
do this?
At least 4 coats, so that we've got a bit of a build of primer there that we can then flat back, and then that divot, that low feeling that you felt will be gone.
And then the drying time in between the coats?
5 minutes between coats.
Nice, let's go. So Ali's done about 5 coats of primer now. What's the next step?
So it's dried now, so we'll take it over to the flattened bench. We'll get it unmasked and we'll smooth that primer back ready for colour. So basically we've gone through the different grades of paper to get it smooth and flat. 2000 grit paper, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand past where I'm going to paint the new lacquer. And then this will give us an area where we can blend the old lacquer to the new. So we can basically polish them both together.
That's smoother than a baby's bum, that.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is lovely. So we're ready for colour, but we are quite close to this red detail here. So I'm going to get Bex to measure it, and we'll, on the plotter, we'll cut a couple of little stencils, and I think I will cover these 3 up.
So now that's all done, guessing it's time to get painting.
It is time to put some colour on.
Nice. That looks great already. How many coats of paint was that?
There's a lot of paint actually. It's very see-through, the red, so it took quite a lot of building up. I was a little bit worried to begin with, but I think we're there now.
Yeah, that's come out well.
Probably 8 or 9 coats.
Really?
Yeah. So we just got to peel off the stencils, and then we're ready for some lacquer.
And would that be the
final stage of the paint side of it?
Yeah.
And then it's just some flatting and polishing after that.
Perfect, get in there.
So the next part of the process is just waiting.
Waiting for the
paint to dry. Yeah. So we did put some rocket in that lacquer, so it should go off fairly quickly. Hopefully we can flat and polish that. So we'll flat the whole area and these ends mainly, so that we can blend the new paint into the old paint. Probably about 45 minutes with the rocket that we've added.
Is there a risk of this top tube looking better?
There's not a risk, it's inevitable.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah, because obviously factory paint, it's done to a budget. You know, they haven't got time to do a flat and polishing kind of process on their paint. You know, the retail cost would jump up massively. So yeah, the unfortunate thing is the top tube is going to look much nicer than the rest of the bike, but not to a point where it's really noticeable. Someone that knows paint will look at that and think, oh, that's lovely, and they might then draw their attention to another part of the bike that's just normal.
Will this make it feel like a baby's bum?
It will make it feel like a baby's bum. Not that I've felt many babies' bums lately. Just want to get that on
Neither have I.
Flat and done.
Final stage?
Yeah, polishing.
I think it looks better than it was probably before.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit smoother. The lacquer in a little bit smoother than standard. And we've managed to blend in where the old meets new at both ends, and we've managed to blend the colour from the damage out.
It looks absolutely incredible to me.
Yeah.
You'd never know that there's...
No.
I wouldn't, but you are a bit of a perfectionist.
Yeah, I think...
Is that up to your standards?
Just about there, I think. Yeah. I can see that it could have been a few % better, but I don't think there's a customer that'll ever notice what I can notice.
No, probably not.
And so I don't think I can get any better at that than that with this particular colour. So I am satisfied. I'm satisfied we've done the best we can do. And yeah, it looks really good. I'm quite pleased.
So it's a lot longer process than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Basically, like just painting a bike, filling it in, and then just going through all the steps that I kind of went through when I was doing my DIY spray paint.
Yeah, that's
a long process.
Definitely, and you appreciate it because you've been there and you've done it.
And you have to be so patient with things like that, letting it dry, coming back to it. Yeah,
you kind of have to put a day aside to do one of these. You can do other jobs in between, but it's going to be your main focus for the day. So, from your viewer's point of view, if you've got a chip and you go to a painter, don't expect it to be really cheap because, as you can see, it's a
lot of hard work.
Yeah, definitely. But the results are worth it. This customer will get the bike back. They'll never know. They won't even remember where the damage is. They'll look and they won't be able to see where it was. And that's the aim, really. If the customer can't say, oh, it was there, the customer will get this back and they'll probably won't even know what side the bike was damaged.
Good as new.
And that's what you want. Yeah, definitely.
So obviously this is how the professionals do it. Quite a long process, and probably not everybody has, all these different tools that you've had to do this. Is there a way that maybe us at home can do it DIY style?
Well,
a cheap and cheerful way to do it.
Yes, there is, and you kind of threw this on us. So I got Bex to dig out her nail varnish bag, and we've got a chip on one of my bikes in here, and I'm hoping she's got a nail varnish in there that's going to be close enough for us to be able to do a little something that shows that anyone with the minimal of bits and pieces can succeed in making a chip look better.
Yeah. Obviously it's not going to be up to this standard.
No, of course
but
not.
Something.
No. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, take your eye off of it.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can achieve that.
Let's go do it. So this is Ali's very nice bike that he's got here, but he has got a chip in it. So this is what we're going to try and fix DIY style. What's first?
So I've got a very fine piece of sandpaper. This is 2000 grit. All I'm going to do is very lightly go over the area where the chip is, just to make sure it's clean, and got a slight key for the nail varnish to adhere to.
This is obviously quite a small chip compared to the last one we saw. Would this DIY kind of stuff work on a deeper chip or?
Definitely, definitely. I mean, we could fill this chip with a tiny bit of filler, but I'm assuming that most people don't have filler at home. So I'm also assuming that most people probably do have nail varnishes at home. So we've got a white nail varnish. It might not be exactly right, but it's going to be better than this. If you haven't got a colour anywhere near, you could always just dribble in a clear bit of nail varnish, and that would protect the paint, protect the chip, stop it wanting to chip anymore. So I've just give that a little bit of a key, and I'm going to use a paintbrush rather than the brush from the nail varnish. And this genuinely is the first time I've done this, so it could go horribly wrong, but
you've used nail varnish before though,
all the time. You can tell by my nails. What I'm going to aim to do is just put a dab of paint in, hopefully not too much, and then we'll walk away for a few minutes, let it dry, and come back and put another dab of paint in.
So one coat done and dried.
Yep.
How many coats are we looking to do?
Don't really know. The chip's not really deep, so hopefully only another 2 more, but it's a bit of a wait and see. So
guessing game.
Yeah.
Two coats later, I think that looks pretty good.
Yeah, I'm surprised actually. I think we're proud of the paint surface. So next stage now is to smooth it back a bit. So the idea now is just to get that nail varnish at the same level as the paint around it. Mm-hmm.
Well, in my eyes, I think that looks pretty good for a bit of nail varnish. I know it's not up to your standards, but...
Yeah, no, I mean, what it shows you is, don't be devastated if you've got a small chip or scratch on your bike. There's always something you can do to take your eye away from it more than anything else. And at the end of the day, it's protected. It looks a lot better than it did.
So there you have it. That's how to fix scratches and chips on your bikes at home if you fancy doing it yourself, and how the professionals do it. Again, a big thank you to Ali and Bex for showing us how it's done today. And if you did enjoy this video and found it helpful, then please give it a big thumbs up.